Party leaders are reportedly preparing a contingency plan now for President Biden as the Democratic nominee over concerns that the campaign is off to a slow start.
Or a non-start. A new report says despite assurances from the administration, there's speculation, quote, that Biden won't actually be running for re-election. They feel like time is already running out and that the lack of the more robust campaign activity that they want to see is a sign that his heart really isn't in it.
Well, our next guest is one of the Democratic hopefuls looking to take on Joe Biden. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. joins us live in the studio. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Happy to be here.
It's great to have you. So what do you make of these stories? It sounds like a lot of the big, deep-pocketed Democratic donors are nervous that Joe's not going fast enough.
Yeah, I don't really know what's happening with his campaign. On our campaign, we raised $6 million in the first quarter. We raised $3 million, $1 million a day the last 3 days of that quarter, and that flow of money is continuing. We have 140,000 volunteers already in the field. We have organizations that we're putting together in all 50 states, and we have extraordinary engagement on social media.
Sure. What do you think is the main issue that you get when you meet people that you're running? I mean, what do they dive into you on?
You know, my issues are censorship in the war and rebuilding the middle class. The reaction that I get from the public, and if you look at my Twitter feed and social media, it's this hunger that people have to bring the country together. They're tired of the polarization. They're tired of the anger. And, you know, we've been very disciplined about not criticizing individuals, but to, you know, talk about policies and to try to figure out, to try to focus on the values that Americans share with each other, Republicans and Democrats, rather than focusing on those issues that are keeping us all apart. Because right now, the polarization is so toxic, it's so venomous, and I think it's more dangerous than any time since the American Civil War, and we have to start talking to each other. Americans have to start talking with people that they don't agree with on every issue.
Sure. Yeah, you know, when you look at the polls, they say inflation is what is the main concern this election for Americans. Is that what you're hearing on the campaign trail, and what's your plan?
You know, I'm hearing not only inflation, but interest rates. And interest rates have cut off the higher interest rates now, which is the government's way, the Fed's way of dealing with inflation, is actually worse for a lot of Americans. That small businesses in the cities simply do not have access to capital. I would talk to an African-American woman in Cleveland this week who has a company that her family has run, a sausage company, for 80 years. And the company was flourishing, but they need capital, and they survived the pandemic. They survived the lockdowns, which a lot of Cleveland did not. 41% of black-owned businesses permanently bankrupt. She survived, but it's killing it. She's now declaring bankruptcy because of the lack of access to capital. And these local community banks are hoarding their liquidity because their bonds are now the price of their bonds are going down, and it's going to choke off every small business in this country, and that is frightening.
And we're looking at another interest rate raise too. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, and inflation is horrible for the middle class, but it may be that the interest rates are even worse.
Yeah. You were talking about how polarized the country is. And you're a lifelong Democrat, and yet so many Republicans are supporting you. And I'm sure when you gave that number about how much money you've gotten in campaign contributions, a lot of it is coming from Republicans. They're interested in you advancing to a debate with Joe Biden, which doesn't look like it's going to happen.
I mean, we're going to try to get the president to debate. We think it's really important. And it's important for I think the Democratic Party, because ultimately the president is going to have to debate a Republican, and the Republican likely, we don't know, but is going to be Trump. Trump is probably the most successful debater in this country since Lincoln Douglas. The way that he dispatched 16 Republican opponents, one after the other, during, in 2016 was really quite extraordinary. And he has his own technique that people like. And it's like going to a prize fight, and you need practice.
Sure.
And that usually happens during the primary. And asking, the president not to debate during the primary is like asking a prize fighter to practice for his big bout by sitting on a couch and eating Chick-fil-A.
It's interesting that you're saying that and praising him, because you normally don't hear that from a candidate who could potentially run against him. Are you learning? Did you learn through this campaign what your father taught you, what your uncle taught you, what Donald Trump has taught you?
Well, about what?
Just about how to run a campaign.
Well, I've got very good. I have a very good staff at running this campaign. You met Dennis Kucinich, who is my campaign manager, and he's running 42 campaigns.
Former Fox News contributor.
He's nodding his head. Yes, he's doing a good job. Right off camera there.
But, and he's running 2 presidential campaigns. He's won, I think, 35 of the 42 campaigns.
Yeah, Dennis knows what he's doing. Do you think Joe Biden is afraid to debate you? Or is it a historical thing?
I don't. I think he does. I think they just. I don't know. I think he doesn't want to. I don't know what's happening with President Biden. I think it's good. It's important for the country that we have debates. We have retail politics. There are so many Americans who feel that the system is rigged, and that the parties are picking like they did in the Soviet Union and telling people who they're going to vote for. And it really ought to be, at this time in history, it's really important to persuade the American people that democracy works, that we're all participants, and that people can look at the different candidates and make a rational choice.
So when your dad was running for president, we were in the middle of the Vietnam War, in the middle of racial unrest. There was a sense that the country was coming apart. What do you think your dad would think now about where the country is right now? What perspective, being that you lived through that, do you have on this?
Well, one of the things that he really was trying to bring people together, and he succeeded in doing that. The last day of his life, he won the most urban state in this country, which is California, and the most rural, South Dakota. And the people who supported him, and particularly the whites in Maryland and on the East Coast who lined the train track after he died, 2.5 million people. Many of those people voted not for George McGovern 4 years later, but for George Wallace, who was antithetical to everything my father believed in. But my father was able to bring people together, and the major way that he did that was by just telling the truth. And that is an extraordinary, that people want to hear the truth. Right. And a lot of Republicans, as you note, are supporting me, and I get note after note saying, we don't believe everything that you believe in, but we believe that you're telling us the truth and that you're going to bring people together. Well, that's what we want.
And you've gone viral, not only with your message, but just your sheer masculinity. I mean, you've got those workout videos that are floating around. I mean, what did that video teach you about the state of American politics in 2023?
Well, I want to point out that on that particular video, that was my last set because I got a lot of complaints. I got a lot of complaints, and I'm glad for this opportunity to finally clarify.
You're correcting the record. Okay, fine. So did this video catch you by surprise?
That one caught me by surprise because there was a guy who jumped up to spot me who I'd never seen before, and I know that he had his friend taking pictures of.
Are you outside just no shirt a lot?
You didn't release this. Someone else released it. I thought you released this.
No, but
Okay.
Are you floating around California without a shirt a lot?
Well, that's Gold's Gym in Venice.
So that's just what they do there.
Yeah, and it's an outdoor gym, and it was hot out that day, and I was trying to get my vitamin C.
How many push-ups can you do?
I've been there. They told me to put a shirt on.
Good ones, I can probably do about 50.
How many can you do, Brian?
I think I could do the same.
You want to try? Should we challenge them to a competition?
You'd have to make a huge contribution.
I don't think I'm allowed to do that to keep my job. But the testosterone replacement therapy that you're using, what could you tell us about that? Does it make you feel better?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'm 69 years old. I started doing TRT when I was 65. My doctor's advice, because everybody our age starts to lose testosterone, and when you do that, you lose muscle mass. And they, it just, if I feel better when I have
You
muscle
feel great
mass,
right now.
Yeah.
You feel better than you have.
Why are you okay with that and not vaccines, certain vaccines?
Well, I'm not, I'm not against vaccines. I've never been anti-vax. That's something that's said about me to, make me look crazy, like a conspiracy theorist. What I've said is let's have testing for each of the vaccines to make sure that they are, that they're safe and effective. Vaccines are the only medical product that is not safety tested prior to licensure. And we need placebo-controlled trials where, you have a placebo group and a vaccine group, and then let's look at the health 5 years later and make sure they're healthy, and that's all I want.
Mm-hmm.
Every candidate who's stopped by the couch, we ask them what their website is, if people would like more information, or to donate. What's your website?
Kennedy24.com. Thank you for asking.
Okay, that's very easy.
Okay.
Very
Senator
nice.
John Kennedy's not going to sue you about that?
No.
The other Kennedy.
You're the first.
All right.
Best of luck the rest of the way.
Really quickly, what about the hearing? You have a hearing coming up. It's next Thursday, right?
We have a hearing on censorship, and Judge Dowdy in Louisiana just issued a 155-page decision forbidding the White House or federal agencies from collaborating with the social media groups to censor Americans. And I was all over that lawsuit. I was the first one that the administration started censoring. Not for misinformation. Nothing I put on the internet was misinformation, but it was just politically inconvenient. And that's not what we do in America.
And I hope they can enforce it. I hope that decision stands. So you're going to testify in detail about that.
Yes.
Awesome. Fantastic.
While you're in the building, you want to go upstairs and go through your brother's desk?
Yeah, that would be a good idea. 'Cause he's on vacation.
Why don't y'all hit the floor, do some push-ups while I tell you what's coming up. Can we do a push-up
I
contest?
told you, if you make a big contribution.
He's not allowed.
Dennis, would you give him the green light? Should we do this?
Just do a few. Do a few for us.
All right. Bobby, thank you very much for joining us live.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.